Man, it's definitely got the vintage feel and smell.
That's him, not me.
Oh, man.
I built it to race.
So we're not just putting wheels and tires on it.
Full custom.
Yeah.
This is for the headlight. You turn your headlights on, these guys come down. Get out of your home!
Back when I was in high school, man, this was sought after. This is a big job for us. It's just so compact here. We're gonna work with the existing floorboard.
Very, very good. This thing is gonna be a beast, just like the record, man.
The 52 record started last year, and we're just now putting the rolling chassis and the body together.
Gotta go on down.
Are you liking it?
Trying not to crack.
I'm Bill Carlton. I built my first truck when I was 16. And ever since, me and my guys have been out here creating with our hands. Building the biggest, lowest, baddest custom trucks and cars in the game. People don't come here for what they need, they come here for what they want. This is Texas Metal.
Brent's backing in a really cool GTO. When I was in high school, that was a car to have.
Hey, Bill.
What's happening, fellas?
Hey, Bill.
It's great to meet you. Nick.
Nick.
Sebastian.
Sebastian.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you guys,
Great to meet
man.
you, too. Yeah.
So is this one of you guys?
It's both of ours.
Both of you?
Yeah.
Like a timeshare or something?
Yeah, it's like a timeshare, actually.
Yeah. My brother bought it when he was 15 in 1980. The car's been with us for almost 42 years. So,
What?
So we've been, yeah.
I was just about to ask you if you guys bought it like this vintage, or
No, it was a piece of junk when we bought it. Yeah.
42 years ago.
42 years ago. Yeah.
You know, back when I was in high school, man, this was sought after for sure. I mean, this was the one you had to have. But those wheels, that size tire.
Yeah, pretty old school now.
Yeah.
But, you know, we used to race it when we were kids.
Well, he used to work on it. I used to race
He
it.
used to race it, drive it. I was always afraid of it.
He's worked on it since he was like 12 years old.
How much you get this for back then?
300.
$300.
300 bucks.
Yeah, you know, both immigrants from Italy, and so the car became something that tied us together, and we've been, I don't know, best friends since then, as well as brothers.
Wow, man, that's quite a story. I've never heard one of those stories before.
It's awesome.
So this might turn into me working on it and both of you guys racing it. Is that what it is?
No, actually, we built it to race, and you can't drive it. So we're just looking for something we can get in, push the button, and go, you know, as opposed to kind of where it is right now, where it only runs on race gas and stuff like that.
Oh, wow,
So,
okay.
yeah.
So we're not just putting wheels and tires on
No,
it.
totally custom, totally something unique that people look at on the street. Modern, you know, touring cars.
Like a pro touring GTO.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, I love that idea, just taking this cool car and just modernizing it. You want something that really rides good, handles good, can put the power down to the ground, just rip out that old frame, just unbolt it from the body, roll it out, and just start fresh. Build a new, way more rigid chassis, 4-link on the back, you know, coilovers all the way around. We can adjust that stance where it just looks absolutely perfect.
Yeah, that pro touring stance has definitely got to be there for us.
Yeah. Any preference on color or anything like that?
The original color for this car was red, so we were thinking of the red and black.
It's sort of the modern versions of the stock colors from back in the day, if that makes sense.
Okay. What about interior?
Something fully custom, totally wild.
Cool, man. Let's check it out. Man, it's definitely got the vintage feel and smell.
That's him, not me.
I tell you what, your brother's done a real good job of storing it for you, because this looks absolutely perfect in here. But it's definitely dated.
It's definitely tired.
We'll modernize this, you know, give you that pro touring feel when you sit in it. Of course, changing, you know, door panels, seats, carpet, and the instrumentation is something that'll really wake this car up. You know, that way you're behind the wheel and it just looks modern in here.
I love that. Only request I have is we were thinking about 4-bucket seats. Not sure how you think about that. Or...
No, man, that's a great idea.
Okay.
Maybe even give you a little bit more. I mean, you guys look like you might need a little more room inside here too, right? It's tight.
It's been 42 years, so yeah, we need a little bit more room.
And you guys were saying that you run race gas in it now. What's under the hood?
It's a 600-inch Pontiac, but we're open to anything.
Well, let's check it out.
Damn.
Oh man, definitely isn't original under the hood.
No.
So about how much horsepower?
About 7 without the nitrous, close to 9.
So it is a fun drive.
Yeah.
It is fun. Quarter mile, though, fun to drive.
Yeah, yeah.
After that,
You can't even drive it on the freeway, Bill. You're doing 55 and the car sounds like it's doing,
About to
$5
blow
grand.
up.
Yeah, 6 grand.
So you want that practicality. You want to be able to get in it and drive it wherever you want.
And get gas wherever
Yes.
we can, pump
yeah,
gas.
but you still want a ton of power.
Can never have too much
Yeah.
power.
You know what'd be real cool? I mean, if we're taking this engine out, we're replacing it with a nice new clean engine. We could just add a bunch of sheet metal panels around it just to,
Man.
when you pop the hood, you're like, just wow, that's just super clean, simplified.
That sounds
everything.
great. I mean, we've always dreamed about having something like that.
Well, if you guys are ready to make it happen,
Let's go. Yeah, thank you so
come
much.
on with
Yeah.
it.
all right.
Definitely a cool car.
Thank you.
You know, the GTO has a long muscle car history, but this car also has a long history with Nick and Sebastian. Messing with a car like this is kind of delicate. This isn't just an easy project, get in, tear it apart, change it up, and give it back to them kind of deal. This is sentimental. It's a big job for us. It's a big job for any car shop. Transforming what's already a really, really cool, clean car into something that not only fits the family history, but fits the muscle car history. There's a lot of unique challenges all throughout this. On top of all that, it's part of their family. So we're not gonna take that lightly. But no matter how long that history is, sometimes you just gotta start over.
This is cool.
Very cool, huh?
Yeah.
Nice outfit today. Looking good, fellas.
Oh, he's always
good.
paying attention to me, I guess.
Yeah. He texted me and asked me what I was wearing.
FaceTime?
That's what it was. Yeah.
You know, this car's got a really cool history. Their two brothers own this car jointly. They bought this car back when one of them was 14 years old.
Oh, wow.
You know, the guys are getting older now, and they're tired of working on it. You know, they've been working on it their whole lives, right?
Right.
They want us to work on it now and build them something where they can just get in it, go wherever they want to go. So we're going to turn this into something really, really cool, super low to the ground, modern everything. So we're going to build a new chassis, all
Right
new
on.
suspension, brand new LT4 in it, so it's going to have a ton of horsepower, 10-speed transmission, so they can drive it wherever they want to go.
Yeah.
I mean, the interior looks almost perfect.
It looks great. Yeah.
Right.
They spent a lot of time, you know, fixing every little single piece in there just for us to tear it all out. And all new interior, all new paint, all new everything, 100% all custom.
All right.
It's definitely going to be, you know, one of a kind.
Yeah, no, this is gonna be a cool one, man. There's a lot to do on this guy.
For a 50-year-old car, the body's in pretty good shape, but everything else got to go.
Just going through and getting everything that's going from the body to the chassis right now. Getting everything loose, cutting all the zip ties, getting everything out of the way, making sure that we're free. That way, once we get these body bolts loose, we can drop it down, take what we got to take down up there, and then this body will just separate, come right off the chassis, and then we'll be able to roll it out. It'll come. There you go. This is for the headlight little deal right here.
Oh, really?
You turn your headlights on.
Yep.
These guys come down. Neat. Cool stuff, man. Oh, yeah, it had a bunch of juice in the juice box.
That's the lightest tire.
That's kind of funny. I've never seen anything like that before. It took the cut-off bolts right there and then used them as like a little anchor to where they could zip tie to and hold their wire loom nice and straight over the fender. Pretty creative. I like that.
Come on.
Get out of your home! That's not the correct way to do it. A rat's nest. I wonder how fast that rat went.
Pretty fast.
All right, go ahead. Bump it, bump it. Hey, you're all clear. Take it all the way. Oh my God. Dude, this thing sucks. This thing sucks.
Oh, it's slippery.
You know, it's always the challenge to take an iconic vehicle like the 68 GTO and improve upon it. For me, the best way to do that is that custom chassis, because we can just build that exact right chassis for the car and the customer.
So we're gonna start with our 2 frame rails, and then we'll stick them up there and we'll see exactly where our body mounts are falling. Then we can start building the whole chassis as a whole. We're gonna do this chassis just a little bit different. I'm using DOM to connect my body mounts. It's gonna be a little bit cooler of a look on this car, and it'll be built directly to the car instead of doing it on the table like we normally do. I made some marks, so I know exactly where the center of my very first body mount is gonna be. So I can transfer that on both rails right here, and I can use that point to measure off of everything else I need to build. Yeah, dude, I like that. All right, cool. So now you can see what we've accomplished here by adding the DOM with the through bolt. So I get a 3/4 bolt, put that in there, and once I get that established, I can make my mark for the other 4 body mounts that we have to do. Get it all connected and keep moving with our chassis. Yeah, that'll work.
Ryan's off to a good start on the 68 GTO chassis, but the frame rails aren't lining up with the original body mounts. So he's gonna change things up to make it work. That's the advantage of doing it custom. We're gonna change things up till it's exactly right.
All right, so we got the rail in there, got the DOM in place, everything's tacked in. When we put our rail up underneath the channel where it needs to go, all of the original body mount holes are off. They're not in a straight line. So using DOM on every single one of them isn't gonna work. We're just gonna take a flat bar, put a bend at 1.5 inches, put a hole at 2 3/4, and then chop the end off at 4 inches. And I can put that bend right there. It will flow the channel underneath the car. So now that we have our bracket here, I can take some chipboard and make me a little side gusset here. I'll make 4 of them. I think it'll flow good with everything else we got. So transfer into some metal, pop out 4 of these guys, get them cleaned up, and then get them tacked onto the car. And we'll just tack them right here. We'll corner it. This gusset will this stronger, and make this to where this cannot collapse.
Bar.
Stop. Inch it down.
When I look back to where we started over 25 years ago, we're mostly doing custom suspensions. But we grew and grew to where now it takes over a year to do ground-up builds. There's so many steps of doing the really, really big ones. And there's definitely been a learning curve.
Yeah, my tabs are on the side of the brand.
The 52 record started last year. And we're just now putting the rolling chassis and the body together.
Go!
Go down.
Gotta go on down.
I look at it this way. We're in the business of making customers' dreams happen.
Slow. You gotta go back. Pass to the side, keep going down. That's on it right there. You're on the body. You're on the cap right there.
Thank y'all.
You could barely fit a piece of paper in this thing.
The more time and effort and skill we put into all of them, the more excited I get to get them done and get them back out on the road.
It's about time I catch you working.
I'm always working here.
Uh-huh.
Man, we all set up for the tow show.
You know, I just spoke with Ryan, and he's got a great prime location for this thing. It's all set up, ready to go.
Man, that's perfect, man. I can't wait for Terry to see it. You know, giving Terry back that 52 tow truck at the tow show, that's the perfect place to reveal this, right?
And when Terry sees his truck there, amongst all these other ones, he's just gonna be blown away.
Everybody else is, too.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, just think back when it came in,
Oh.
man, it was
horrible, right?
I didn't know if I needed to start ordering parts or tetanus shots for you guys when that thing first came in. I didn't know what part to get.
I mean, starting off, picking the cab up, rolling everything else out, and just building everything else. From that 2x5 frame, how it goes up to the 2x4 with the truss underneath that was super, super strong. It can haul whatever it wants to haul.
And then some.
Right?
Yeah.
He wanted a whole lot of power. The LT4 in it, supercharged 6.2, man.
He definitely got the power.
He definitely got that.
Yeah.
And the bed. How much labor went into building that bed?
When you first brought this up and said we're gonna build it all from scratch, I didn't believe how it was gonna be done, but then when I started seeing you guys lay everything out, man, I don't know how the lines just matched up, but that's what
just
you do, you.
Getting towards the end of projects like this, man, really get me excited, man.
Figuring out the size, the shape, the dimensions of that bed, once that's established, actually building it, you know, using the skills to shape the metal, to weld, to grind, to polish, to make it what it is
a ton of work.
When you told me you were gonna come out and make that boom yourself, I didn't second guess you, but I came and looked for stuff that maybe we could, you know, maybe order, but there's nothing out there to order for that.
Just got to do it.
Don't be scared.
Going from chipboard to plasma table to a part you're actually welding together, grinding, sanding, turning it into a hot rod wrecker, man. I love how it's coming together. Then once all that's made, off to the body shop.
There's a lot of panels on there to get straight.
I mean, the paint's done, looking right. You know, the major thing we have left is just letting John Burgess do his thing.
Yeah, he was just in here and we went through and picked all the materials out and the color scheme and stuff that he's gonna put in that thing's gonna really tie everything together. It's gonna show your guys' craftsmanship with his, and it's gonna really set that truck apart.
After that, tow show.
Road trip.
You got work to do.
You know, a lot of the times, the last thing we do on a ground-up build is that interior. But last is definitely not least. Everything else is just so custom, so over the top. John definitely has his work cut out for him.
So it's finally my turn to get started, making something cool in the interior. So I'm gonna start out with the seats. I've already got my design laid out. I'm gonna make a patch that'll actually overlay on top of this. We'll get it all sewn straight down to the cover. We'll get after it and make something happen. So now that I've got my patterns all worked out, just take some clear vinyl and I can see through that and draw out all my pieces and then back to transfer into our leather. It takes time to make sure you get everything laid out and straight, because if you mess it up here, it's messed up all the way to the end. It's probably one of the more tedious processes, but it's one of the more satisfying for me too. A few more pieces to do, so same process over and over and over until I get all the pieces mapped out. Next step, start transferring this onto some leather, get it cut out, let's start sewing this puzzle together. Something's gonna complement the blue on that truck really nice, keep it looking kind of retro, but still modernized at the same time. We're gonna use a 1/2-inch sew foam. Gives a little bit more cushion to the cover, and it helps the cover to kind of fill out and fluff out a little more. So without this, it just kind of it'll lay loose on the seat. So this gives us something to sew together, hold it all together. And next step, get on the laser, cut out our pieces for our patches. I'm actually gonna wrap this part 3 times. So I want it to look like different layers. So we'll wrap it down to this first level, then we'll wrap the top level, all 3 of them separately. Something a little different, a little challenging. This thing about trying to do things outside of the box and always trying to think outside of the box and come up with new ideas is you got to try them to see if they're going to work. You think about it all you want, but until you actually try it, there's no telling. But if it doesn't work, I'll throw it in the trash and we'll do something else. One upside to it being so hot around here is it doesn't take as long for the glue to dry. Downside, not as nice of a break. Inserts are all finished up, so now it's time to start putting the rest of the pieces together and make a cover. It's just helping to lay the seams down, make sure everything's where they need to be. It's kind of like ironing your clothes, you know? You hit a little bit of steam, go through, iron out everything, get it laid in nice and smooth and flat where it needs to go. Next thing I'm gonna do, about 135 degrees out there right now, so let Mother Nature do her job for a little while.
Because we're building a frame for the GTO totally custom, we can work with the shape of the vehicle to make it a perfect fit. This is so compact underneath here. We're gonna work with the existing floorboard in this car versus cutting everything out for big wheels, big tires. The easy way for me is just using a 3-inch piece of flat bar. What I'm gonna do is tack this to the floor. Once we have this flat bar tacked in place, we can just clamp flat bar off of it. So we're gonna take this pattern that we have now, transfer it over onto the table. Once that's transferred on the table, I'm gonna trace it, lay out the lines all nice, clean, and crisp, make some chipboard templates of this so we can transfer that chipboard over to our 2x3 that's on our bandsaw. That's it. Boom, 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 boom. Chop our parts, lay them out on the table. Everything's real time and you know it's gonna fit perfectly. This is the most efficient, time-saving way that I've found over the years to make a frame.
All right, so I got my back half jigged up here on this table. We're gonna tack this up, put some stitches just on the top and bottom here. We'll get this all welded up real quick, let it cool off, and then we'll break it apart, stand it up, build our back half, and then we can throw it into the car. One step closer. On the money. All right, so I got it all stood up and squared up. This is what our back half will look like, minus some cross members. I'm gonna make some just temporary 1x1 pieces to connect these. And then we'll make our back section back here that connects the two. Very, very good. Like. All right, so we got the rear member made. Everything's level, everything looks good. We'll get it put over there and we'll see what changes we need to make, if any. And if not, then we'll keep on moving along. Yay. All right, so Bill and I got the back half stabbed in here. It fits good. I'm gonna make a few pieces just to connect the existing frame rails to our back half, and then we can move on to the body mount.
We're getting started on the subwoofer enclosure for the 52 record. The owner is kind of a tall guy, so we don't want to lose any leg room in here. So the challenge that we're going to have is finding enough airspace for this enclosure without encroaching on the cabin space. So we're going to do some modular work here and try to build a box that'll fit down inside of the pockets in the back. That means the box can be smaller. I don't have to make as much room for the magnet. The magnet can just be out in the air doing its own thing. The best part about building things like this is there's no rules, no right or wrong. Come up with an idea, build it the way you want it. It's really nice having that freedom around here. It gives me the opportunity to be more creative. I really enjoy what I'm doing because I get to do what I want to do. So the next step, get a little bit of fiberglass, start glassing all this together, make it all one solid piece so we can take it out of the truck, take it back over to the trim shop and finish building it. So far, everything's worked out really nice. You know, it fits in the truck perfect. It's gonna be nice, fits behind the seat. Be able to have the subwoofer, won't lose any kind of movement in the seat, so it's to work out really good. All right, fiberglass is dry. We got the box out of the truck. We can work on the bench now. So next thing, take a piece of plastic, heat it up, mold it to shape it to the top. The woofer needs a certain volume of airspace in order to operate properly. So it really doesn't matter how it gets it, as long as it gets it. So nice, tight squeeze in there. Takes up almost no space in the truck, but yet we still have enough airspace for the woofer to function properly. The majority of all the body work is hand sanding, mainly because everything has contours and shapes and Nothing really flat, straight to it. Every now and then you use blocks, but you really can't use a machine. You start using machines and it digs in, you don't get a feel for it, don't know where you're headed. I like to hand sand a whole lot. I'll go in and do some grinding, rough things in, but in the end, it's all hand sanding. There it goes. Like a glove. So that's a perfect fit. Everything's working out exactly the way I wanted it to. So next step, work from the armrest, forward into the center console.
You hungry, fool?
The rear half of the frame for the 68 GTO is connected to the body. So now we can move on to making the front half.
All right, so we got everything in the back done, and it's a good time to move on to the front, tie all this in together, and we'll have one full complete chassis before we start suspension. So I'm gonna grab some 2x5. I got my stands here. Put that 2x5 down here. I can put my cross member directly on that. I'm gonna draw a string line down the center of the car right here, and that way I know exactly where to put my front cross member. That way when we build our control arms out, that the track and everything is straight. Getting this centered right here is very crucial to building this chassis out. These are the cross members that we make. It's already set up with the right points for our lower control arms. We'll take this, draw some center marks up on it. All right, now I got my temporary braces in here holding the front cross member exactly where I need it. We're gonna make these pieces off the frame that are gonna come out here, and then we'll be able to tie in our upper frame rail with the lower here. And then we can add some pipe or do something else, tie it all in later. All right, we got the cross member tied in to our rails, as you can see. Looks really good, but we're not done yet. We need to continue this on. We need to tie into our core support right here, and then we'll have bumper to bumper full chassis. I'm gonna mount this roll pan here, cut these frame horns off here, and we're gonna cap this. And this is where my frame structure will tie in to the core support. I think that'll do. Now that we got all this established, everything's good. Chassis is complete now, minus suspension.
You know, if you want something fast, you just buy it off the shelf. But if you want something custom, it just takes more time and, of course, talent. And right now, John's showing us how it's done. Hand making a one-of-one console for the 52 tow truck.
I'm gonna take the armrest, float it over top of the woofer and down and into the part that's gonna go around the shifter. So I'm actually gonna make this in multiple pieces. Just gotta keep in mind all the pieces as you're going because they all have to work together. All right, we got everything for the first half of the center console put together, glued up, worked up, ready to go. Got it scuffed. Let's take a little bit of body filler, do a little rubbing, a little sanding, and make this thing look good. So I'm gonna use a little bit of this fiberglass reinforced filler just to give it some strength, and then we'll go back over top of it with some regular body filler. It's easier to sand and easier to work. But to start off with, I'm gonna use this. There's another one of those quit while you're ahead moments. Wipe this on a little thin, just so I didn't have to fight it too much. Makes it easier to sand. So all I'm doing now is just knocking the high chunks off of it so we can add our next layer. So one of the last pieces of the armrest is do a little bit of mold work on top, just to give it some detail and liven it up a little bit. So we're gonna install the air ride controller and a wireless charger for your phone or any other device incorporated into this. So sand, sand, and then sand. So let's get sanding. Now I'm gonna trace my template. After getting the top part of the armrest body worked in, the next step to finish this off is to tie in a side panel. We're gonna use the side panels as inserts. That way when we wrap it, we only have to come down to here instead of having to wrap the whole side of it, so we can chase wrinkles out rather easy instead of trying to get all the way to the end of this panel. So I'm gonna take me some double-sided stick tape here so that when I body work this in, I don't have to worry about clearance for the material. It's already built in.
The owners of the 68 GTO might have wanted to swap out that high horsepower for something a little more drivable, but they definitely still want some power. So we went with the Crate LT4 engine with about 640 reliable horsepower. Now to make it fit.
Before we can get it put in, we got to cut the floor out to make room for the transmission. And then get our motor put in. Keep coming.
It's on the chassis now.
You're clear.
This thing is gonna be a beast, just like the Wrecker, man. 650 horsepower, V8, supercharged.
Yeah.
But like 4,000 pounds lighter.
Right.
And that thing scoots, so.
It's going to be a monster, that's for sure.
You ready to start building some motor mounts and transmission cross member and all that good stuff?
Yeah, let's do some cool stuff.
We'll start rolling some pipe and add some style to it. The roll pipe always looks real cool. So we'll connect it from the motor mount to the chassis right here and just catch this whole corner of this web right here. It'll be super strong, it'll look good, and then we can connect down to the cross member. Got the driver's side motor mounts done, so we're gonna jump back to the transmission cross member, start getting that all done. Here's the factory bolt holes for the transmission cross member mount. We'll start off with this point here and then find a good connecting point. But this being so far out, so wide, that cross member would sag real bad. So we added this structure here. We'll just connect here and here to our cross member. That way the span isn't so long. Keep it a little bit shorter, stronger.
You know, the best part of this job is getting to work on cars that you loved when you were a kid. You know, that 68 GTO is one for me. It's just super cool to be able to put my spin on it. We finished the chassis, and once we're done with the engine mount, we'll need to modify the firewall, build custom suspension, fabricate something really unique, cool under the hood, you know, body, paint, wheels, tires, and hand making that interior. We still got a long road, but this is definitely gonna be one for the books.
All right, we got our cross member tacked up. It's looking pretty cool. Got some holes for exhaust to run through since the car is going to be so low. Not only will it be a lot stronger, but it'll add a lot of style to it as well.
Luckily, we don't have to wait much longer on that 52 tow truck. Over in the interior department, John's taking a couple of his cool interior cues and bringing them up into the engine compartment with some custom trim pieces.
Some pieces of aluminum that got powder coated and painted to match the truck. We'll just take our laser. Basically what we're doing is going to be etching off all of the powder coating and paint to reveal the aluminum down at the bottom again. Get it secured inside of the machine, close it up and hit go. It's off to the races. The finish on the part is so thick that it's going to take multiple passes to actually get it all cleaned off and get down to the metal. So 2 passes, we'll see what it looks like. It should be cleared off. If not, we'll just hit it and make it go again. 157 gigawatts, however hot that is. It's like a buttload. All I know is it's hot enough that I won't put my hand underneath it. Bill wants to try to get a tattoo by it. Your free tattoos after work. I've only had a laser cutter now for maybe about a year, year and a half. But in that year, year and a half, it's really changed the game on what I'm able to make and what I can design and build. Plus, it saved me a lot of money and a lot of time. And I've been able to do things that there's no way I would have been able to do them by hand. There's no other way about it. It's just been a lifesaver. And complete. Finally ready to start wrapping the parts for the tow truck. I'm gonna start with the box. So we'll be making patterns. I gotta put foam over it and have a nice decorative seam. It's one of my favorite parts of the process, but this was gonna be pretty difficult. We got some pretty big contours, steep edges. It's just a lot of things that this vinyl is going to have to do in order to lay in where it needs to. So it's got to be unique, it's got to be one-off. So that's part of what makes this thing fun, makes it a challenge, and at the same time, makes it a pain in the butt. You know, part of the reason we've got this complex shape is because of the requirements we had for the driver being able to fit in the truck. We couldn't really cram it all behind the seat, so wasn't a whole lot we could do. We just have to deal with what we got to deal with. Got to make it work for the customer, so they needed the room, we'll give them the room. This would be the hardest part. So you got to kind of work here and hope I can stretch here to a point I can split it and then tuck it. You know, after all the years of wrapping and doing things like this is probably a 10 on the scale of how hard this is going to be. That's what really makes it fun around here too, is always trying to challenge ourselves, do a little better, make something different, always one off. So all of the challenges that we go through, and at the end of the day, all said and done, they're all worth it. All right, everything's built, everything's wrapped, everything's ready to go.
Here at the shop, we do a bunch of builds. Getting into the bigger builds is always something that you really got to step back and take a minute. You know, those jobs that take a year and over a year, there's thousands of hours in those. When you get that invested in something, it just becomes special. It's almost like it's your build. And it's not just one person. We can have, you know, 5 or 6 guys work on one vehicle. So we all kind of have to have the same understanding, because he's got to be on the same page as the painters and with Bill. And I mean, you can't have like a Lincoln in the front and a Honda in the back. It's gotta match.
Just as much as you guys take pride in your work and, you know, your craftsmanship when you're welding and stuff, I take that same pride as I was able to find these parts so that you guys can make this whole project come together. And at the end of the day, when the customer comes to see his vehicle, they can see where every day, every hour, every minute went into that vehicle. Yeah. That first reaction is like, oh my gosh.
Oh, listen to that. Oh, look at that.
That's when you know you did a great job on that vehicle. Yeah.
When we first looked at the 52, it was definitely showing its age. This is original as it gets, right?
Yes, sir.
When I look at it now, I just couldn't be more proud of my guys. There's not an inch on this truck we didn't have to do something to, and there's definitely not gonna be one anywhere like it. We finally finished Terry's dream truck. You know what better place to give it back to him than the Fort Worth Tow Show? It's kind of like the SEMA show is for cars, this tow show is for wreckers. What's up, Terry?
What's happening, Bill?
How you doing, man?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
Man, I'm doing good. I appreciate you meeting me out here in Fort Worth, man.
Kind of funny when you invited me to the show I'm at each year for my business anyway. So hope you got a surprise for me.
Man, I actually do. I know it's been quite a while since you've seen your truck. You ready to check it out?
Yes, sir.
Come on.
Oh my God, Bill. It's beautiful.
Are you liking it?
Trying not to cry. I can't believe what I dropped off is actually this truck sitting here right now.
Right?
It's hard for me to fathom.
It's got a little transformation, right?
Yeah, just a little, but that's exactly what we were shooting for.
You know, Terry, when the truck rolled in, there wasn't much salvageable on it. So basically just picked the cab up off the frame and just rolled everything else out. Underneath the truck, we started out building a whole new frame front to back, and it's all made out of 2x5 rectangle tubing, and then tapers down to 2x4 in the back. You know, when we were building the frame, we had to incorporate that air suspension in it so you can raise and lower it. I know you're probably not gonna haul a car with this, but it is absolutely capable. If it ever did have weight on the back, you have that adjustability in it also, so.
No store-bought stuff, it's all fabricated by you guys.
All handmade.
Good deal. I'm loving the stench. You know, I wanted it low, wanted some big fat tires on it, and you nailed it. I'm ready to do some burnouts.
So I know you wanted that hot rod power also, right? You ready to check out under the hood of it?
Buddy, I don't know if I can take much more, but let's do it.
Let's check it out.
Oh my God, Bill. I asked you for a big engine, 6-liter plus. You took it and you shoved it in this thing. You made it fit. Looks amazing in there. Not a whole lot of room to move around, so it was definitely a lot of work for you guys.
We had to do a little bit of configuring to get this sucker in there.
I can only imagine all the hand bent tubing and everything underneath it matches. Everything just sets off something else underneath the hood. You can keep looking all day long.
Right? New firewall, all configured around that engine and that 10-speed transmission. So we had to do a lot of sheet metal work in the floorboard.
Yes,
Had
sir.
to make room for this big old engine underneath here, right?
Way over my expectations, that's for sure.
Man, I always
Y'all
like
killed
hearing
it.
that.
Y'all killed it.
Man, Terry, I can tell you got an eye for custom work.
Yes, sir.
Let me show you what we did inside the cab.
All right. Oh my God, Bill. That is beautiful. You guys did a great job keeping the old school feel, but putting the modern technologies in it.
There's a lot of upgrades in there, right? New carpet, new seats, new headliner, door panels. John Burgess gets down on everything he does.
Yes.
I mean, look at that console. It's just, that's a work of art. Of course, the radio looks old, but it's all
New
all
technology.
Bluetooth.
You kept some of the original dash in there to keep the old school look. So best of both worlds.
Yeah, man. I know if you like that. I got something that's special in the back.
You're killing it so far, buddy. Let's check this out. Definitely not what was on it when I dropped it off.
Man, absolutely not. All this is 100% handmade. And, you know, the challenge on something like this, Terry, is really getting back and seeing what design is going to work for this and to make it look like it all flows in one cohesive unit, right? I've never built a record bed before. We never built a record boom before or, you know, a pylon like that.
It's sharp.
It looks like it should come that way. And that's the whole point of building something like this.
It's one of a kind. It's one of one, and it's mine, and I'm proud for it to be mine, and I'm proud that Bill and them took this job on. And I just can't say enough about the work these guys did on my truck.
It's a labor of love, man. And to get to be able to create something like this out of nothing just is really, really cool. You know, I can't thank my guys enough for stepping up, doing what they do, having the passion that they have, and just having the skill set to do another great job.
When I dropped this off, I told you I wanted a show truck, tow truck, and this checks off every box.
What better place to have it in here with all the other records, right?
Tow truck, show truck, sitting at the tow show.
It definitely stands out.
That's what we want. It's going to stand out everywhere it goes.
Well, man, I know you're going to have fun with it. And I'm going to go check out the rest of the show.
All right. Thank you, Bill.